Lesson 23 for trombone. We will play numbers 55 and 56. Okay, take a look at number 55. This, if you've already started looking at your scales in the back of the book, this looks familiar. This is the second line from each of those scales. It's the thirds. What a third means is that you go up by 3 notes. So you have your B flat. That's your first note, right? Actually, I'll do it this way. Then you have a C. Then you have that D. That's what it means going up a third, because you play the B flat, and then the next note you play is that D. So you're going up a third. So let us buzz this exercise, and I'll play it. Here's your first note. All right, here we go. Buzz along. 1, 2, ready. I went a little slow. Hopefully you're playing it a little bit faster. But I just want to make sure that we buzz the correct pitch. Please make sure that you buzz that correctly. Now, after you do that, go and rewind and play through it. And then we're going to do it a little bit faster. Okay? So you should have already rewound and played through it. And we're going to do it again, but a little bit faster. 1, 2, ready. If you have very, very good ears, you just picked up on the mistake that I made. When you're going from a close position, 1, 2, maybe third position, and you have to reach far, like 6th or 7th position, and you have to come back up quickly, chances are you don't reach that 6 all the way. For instance, the last 3 notes. I'm sorry, the last 4 notes. B flat, C, A, B flat. Okay, I got my B flat, but my C only got to about here. And I need to be at full 6th position. Okay, so my C was a little bit too sharp because it was too short. Okay, so make sure you reach far enough. Okay, so make sure you listen to that very, very carefully. All right, before we move on to 56, our code word is pro. P-R-O. Do you want to be a pro on your instrument? Have you heard a pro? If you haven't, and by the way, I am not a professional trombone player. Okay, but if you haven't heard a pro, if you don't have a private teacher, go on to, say, YouTube, since you're already here, and look it up. You know, type in trombone concerto, or professional trombone concerto, professional trombone player, and listen to what a real professional sounds like, and listen to their sound, and see if you can copy that sound. Okay? All right, number 56, warm up. This should be pretty easy for us, because for us, we don't actually have to change anything. If you haven't gotten to this yet in class, we will at your upcoming class. The new mark that we have is a slur. Now, first let me tell you what a slur is. A slur means you're changing from one note to another without tonguing. Okay, that's what I will tell every instrument except percussion and trombone. Here is why. When you hear an instrument do a slur, you'll hear something like this. Be as smooth a change between those notes as possible. There'll be the smallest space, except on a slur. On a slur, there is no space, because you don't tongue. Okay? So you have one note, E flat, E, just goes right down to it. However, for trombones, we can't do that. We get what's called a gliss, because we don't have buttons that we can put down or holes that we can cover that make that change. So we do still have to tongue, but when we have a slur, it means we just tongue as lightly as possible. As very, very connected as possible. That is how we slur. Okay? So when you tongue the first note in measure 56, you're going to tongue it regularly. Ta-da. Notice that syllable that I used? I used ta for the first note. And the second note, I used da. It's a lighter tonguing. Okay? So go ahead and buzz along to this and make sure we're changing that tongue. Okay? A good standard articulation, ta, what we always use during class, and then use da or la when you have a slurred note. Ta la, ta la la. The idea is to make this as smooth as possible. All right, here we go. Buzz along, please. 56. Here's your first note. Here we go. 2. Ready. Did you notice how fast I had to move from the C to the B flat back to that C? You have to move those slides quickly. That's why we talked about it in an earlier lesson. All right, that was lesson 23. Thank you for joining me.